Well, for more, let's go to Strasbourg, where the European Parliament's in session. He's chair of the centre-right EPP group in the European Parliament. Manfred Weber, who hails from Angela Merkel's CDU party. Thank you for speaking with us on France 24.
Absolutely. Hello.
I'm reading a statement from the German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas, who says you can destroy an incredible amount of trust very quickly in a tweet. How much trust has Donald Trump destroyed?
A lot, absolutely, because what we see is a totally new way to do politics, where you cannot trust anymore when somebody is taking a signature under a document, and a few minutes, an hour later, he's doing a tweet, and everything is ridiculous afterwards. That's why there is a new approach in Washington, and that the negative thing is that the relationship between the European Union and America is strongly under pressure. But the positive thing is that the future of our continent, of Europe, is only in our hands. So what we need now is European unity, is European solidarity, is to creating European strengths. We are the biggest global trade power as Europeans. If we stick together, if we are united, nobody can attack us, nobody can create problems for our economy. It's up to us, and let's act now.
So when Donald Trump takes that pointed dig at Germany over defense spending, what's Berlin's reaction going to be?
That is probably the real fair point of Donald Trump's accusations against us as Europeans, because we committed over the last decades that we want to spend 2% of our GDP for defense. That was a commitment in the NATO. And we didn't do so. Germany didn't do so. A lot of other countries didn't do so. That's why this is absolutely a fair point of Donald Trump. And that's why we have to be, in a way, fair with him. On the trade thing, he's in a way irrational. He's overactive. He's provocative. But on the military side, he has a point. And that's why Europe has to do more. We as EPP on European level, we think that it would be much more efficient. It would be much more cost efficient if we would do the future investments in a better defense of our continent together. Look, for example, on the drones technologies or on the question of cyber war. We know that we have to invest there on new possibilities to defend ourselves. And it would make a lot of sense if we would combine our technological knowledge and our experts on one place to defend, for example, the European internet infrastructure together. So let's combine our forces. It would be much more cost efficient than if we would do it with each nation alone.
With each nation alone, does that mean, building European aircraft carriers, for instance?
We did already last December a huge step in the European defense policy. We created PESCO. And that means to have a platform, a binding platform, where France, Germany, Austria, everybody who wants to join can really do, with clear commitments, common efforts to build up the common infrastructure. That's why it must be binding in a way. The first time over decades, we have now a mechanism where clearly binding commitments are on the table. An additional aspect is that we have now, after Emmanuel Macron's speech on the Sorbonne University and after Angela Merkel's answer a few weeks ago in an interview in Germany, there is a clear will on the table from both sides to look for intervention troops. So really intervention troops on global level, if it is needed, in Mali and in other regions of the world. That is also a big step. Again, the key question is, let's define now what is needed, intervention groups, drones technologies, and cyber war, and let's act now. We have to show our credibility. We have to show our readiness to go forward. Don't wait anymore for the Americans. Don't wait anymore for others. Let's simply act. And we ask that the next European Council in a few days' time, so end of June, must come up with concrete proposals in these questions.
Yeah, you mentioned two of the driving forces for Europe, and that is France and Germany. Critics say there are mixed messages coming out of Berlin. Let's first listen to the Chancellor Angela Merkel after that summit.
I worked hard for a compromise. We struggled to reach this agreement for a long time. And then he decided to withdraw, and by tweet, of course. It is sobering and depressing.
ein Stück deprimierend.
That was an interview, Manfred Weber, that Angela Merkel gave on Sunday. Since then, though, the German economy minister, Peter Altmaier, saying that he remains open to talks among friends. There can still be a win-win solution. There's a feeling that the Germans are not being forceful enough when it comes to Washington.
Well, you can be sure that Altmaier and Angela Merkel are very close together. There's the same party, and Angela Merkel is a strong alliance of Angela Merkel, though there is no dispute. But the key question is now, how do we answer this new way how Donald Trump is dealing with the issues? That is a key question on the table. And I think what is the Commission doing with the support of Germany and France for the moment is that we show, first of all, our readiness to defend our jobs. When America is activating tariffs on aluminium and steel, we are talking about jobs in the European Union, and that is what we have to protect. That's why this week Commission will activate countermeasures, so tariffs on very specific issues from the American markets where they have a strong interest on. I think the measures are reasonable, are balanced in a way. We are not overreacting as Europeans, but we are showing our commitment. We are showing our readiness that we are strong as Europeans. But one is the reaction, to show readiness to defend our markets and our jobs. But the second thing is to show all the readiness on talks. When Trump is telling us in Canada that he wants to delete all the tariffs in all the markets, then I must say, okay, that was exactly the idea of TTIP negotiations. That was exactly what we did when we started with Obama talks about a free trade agreement with America and the European Union. That's why, yes, let's take up this invitation, let's sit on the table and let's talk about the future trade relationships.
Let's talk about the future trade relationships, but we heard more pointed statements from the French president than we did from the German chancellor herself after that summit. Is Angela Merkel, with her style of governing, which is based around compromise, always being cautious, in this kind of situation, faced with this kind of U.S. president, is that the right kind of style?
Well, finally, everybody is happy to have a compromise after a dispute. That's why I think the style is still needed and important. But I would say the couple which we have at the moment with Macron and Merkel is probably a perfect couple, which gives us a lot of boost now for the European Union and for the future of the European Union. But I want to tell you that we have others as well, the Spanish perspective, the Italian perspective, the Polish perspective. So Europe is not only Germany and France. That's why I would say let's give the Commission the task to defend our European ideas. Sometimes there are more French products under risk. The other day it's more about German products like cars. So let's combine our forces. What we have to understand is that it's not a German-French initiative. It's a European question which is on the table. And again, together, if we combine our forces, we are stronger and bigger than the Americans. That is the way into the future. Combine the European forces.
Journalists often grumble that big summits are kind of boring. The G7 this time, certainly that wasn't the case. Tell us, Manfred Weber, what are you expecting from the NATO summit that's to take place 1 month from today?
It will be probably in the same way challenging like it was the G7 meeting now, because again on this spending on military activities, there Trump has really a point. So I think it would be good for us Europeans if we can already present in the next NATO summit very clear, concrete steps, what we are doing to increase our expenditures for military activities in our own interest, not to serve and to please Donald Trump, in our own interest. The world we are living in is getting more and more unstable. Vladimir Putin is an example for this. The Turkish partner is an example for this. And the Chinese have also their clear interests in getting more and more a global power who wants to influence the rest of the world. And the key question is now, is Europe ready to start initiatives to defend their interests on their own means, or are we still depending on others? And that is a historic moment. That's why till the next NATO summit, I think it would be great to show Europe is ready to take its own steps for defending their own interests.
Manfred Weber, chair of the centre-right EPP group in the European Parliament. Thank you so much for speaking with us live from Strasbourg.